Ooh. Hey man, it's right middle of the time. Oh, I guess I better do one other thing too, otherwise Al will get on me. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. If I can find it. Let's see. I'm trying to find our. I was trying to find our intro in here. Let's see. Oh boy. Yeah, screw it. Well, man, I guess I'm not totally surprised. Okay. Well, welcome to the Midnight Society. Yeah. This is your sleepy ass host, Patrick, and along with our co-pilot Echo Cero, and yeah, we're here. I think. Well, I know Echo's alive, and I'm sleepy as hell.
What? Not sure about the alive part yet. Congress has to vote on that, so that could take a while.
All right, I'm trying to get my ass where I need it to be, and it's just like, where are you? Where are you? Okay.
It's just Sunday, so it's okay.
Yeah. First of all, I guess the first thing we'll have to mention right off the bat is our thoughts are with our buddy, our buddy Al. He got involved in a pretty nasty accident this week coming home from work, and him and Vanessa were coming home, and they got sandwiched on the freeway.
Oh my!
Uh, he got banged up pretty good, but he said he's all right. So hold on one second. Still saying I have a guest here. It might be just. Oh, we're all right. I didn't know. Maybe he's sneaking up on me. They're still home. I don't know when they were supposed to leave for Florida. I know that that's where they're. That's why he's not here. He's on vacation. So, let me get my ass here. No, I literally went from sleep to here in 4 minutes. In fact, if it wasn't for the cheetah walking on me, I'd probably still be sleepy.
Cats make good alarm clocks.
Yeah, especially one that wants treats. Hey, Mr. Bones. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
All right. All right. So tonight we're not talking about anybody who's new to the channel or has been coming in when we're been talking about our series. Most of the time we've been since we started the show, we've done our deep dive with Friday the 13th. But for the next 2 weeks, we're not going to be able to. We're not doing that because Al is on vacation, and so tonight we're going to talk about martial arts. I know that isn't horror. I hope the ladies will stick around for that because it's interesting. It's a very interesting show. It's a very interesting movie.
Hey, Dutch.
And I know it's like I said, it's not horror, but it is a very worthy movie. It's an interesting movie, and it's
very good
for a martial arts movie. It has a lot of character. This is a very much character-driven movie. It's not just the usual chopsaki. It's deep. It's a deep movie.
I like how they added the whole subplot of when Japan was basically invading China and how the two cultures, nationalities were just butting heads. You saw that in the trial, especially and stuff.
Yeah, you saw that. I mean, you saw that where he's in the very first clash. Where he's in Japan. He is in Japan at a time of high tension. This is in the 30s. A lot of people think that World War II started in 1940 or 1939. With the invasion of Poland, by Germany, but in actuality, it had been going on for about 10 years before that, when China and Japan were at war, and they've been fighting for almost a decade before the World War II even started. Um, so a lot of people don't really realize that. Uh, Now, if you watch martial arts, that is a common theme for a lot of their movies. Is they do feature a lot of their films in about the Japanese occupation, and like, God, there's so many too. Just there's so many you can mention that have that have that background.
One
So
historical thing that they got wrong in this, though, his master in this movie is based on a real life guy who died in 1910, not 1930. Was it? 37.
yeah, 1937. Well, that happens though. We do that too. We take licenses with our history. It happens. They do it for dramatic effect. Whatnot. And like, there are certain things that probably would never have happened. Like, like him being able to face off against that Japanese general and the main guy, and then take care of that and then walk out, and okay, we're gonna go home. Yeah, I don't really see that happening, but that, for the movie, it made perfectly good sense.
What do they call that? The what is it? The suspension of belief, or whatever they call. They have a name for it. I can't remember. Yeah.
So this was not my very first Jet Li movie by any stretch. In fact, this actually, I had, I've heard the name, but I really never really knew about the movie until I actually saw a clip of the final fight here on YouTube. And then it said, this is Fizzle Legend. They had the final fight, and I was like, holy crow, I've never seen anything like this. This is just completely badass.
And get this, the guy who choreographed the fighting, see if I can say his name here, Woon Wah Ping. He also choreographed Lethal Weapon 4, Black Mask, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and they liked him so much he choreographed the original Matrix trilogy.
Yeah, Wu Ping is famous. He's actually absolutely a legend. If you notice, a lot of those movies have one thing in common, and that being there's a lot of Jet Li in there. He did Black Mask. He did Lethal Weapon 4. In fact, that was American for many Americans. Lethal Weapon 4 was the movie that broke Jet Li into America.
Because that was the first one.
Yeah.
Outside of China.
And quite honestly, that was a badass movie. And it, and in theory, even though his character died, his character did win, because they showed him, if they wouldn't have done him in like they did, there's no way that Mel Gibson or Danny Glover were going to survive. But so I thought it got him over big, even though his character passed away. And he was really, a lot of the talk was about Jet Li being in the movie, because most martial art folks, they knew who he was, and so they were very excited. I remember going to the theater and not knowing who the hell he was, and yet I heard people around me talking about Jet Li. And when he came on screen, they were very excited.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon was my first exposure to him, and I think that they say they had to tell him to slow down a little bit because he was fast.
Oh, God,
hey Al.
I don't know. I know most of the comparison with Jet Li, is Donnie Yen. That that's who he squares off against. It's when they talk about who's better. God, what? Who knows?
The fact that he played the same character in the TV show and the sequel to Legend of Fury, he played the same character, was Donnie Yen. So.
Now, I hope you guys all like action movies. I mean, we all do like action movies. Let's see. The Dutch. Hey, Dutch. I have not seen him for a while. Fist of Fury, but I like Fist of Legend a little bit more. Yeah, me too. Me too. I like it. I like it a lot more actually.
I was very impressed with it.
Yeah, it's badass.
Oh
Fight
yeah,
scenes. The fight scenes are just amazing. The final fight's amazing. Uh,
blindfold was my favorite fight scene.
I will have to. The blindfold fight scenes. That's legendary. That is just it's amazing. That's an amazing fight and such respect between those two. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Uh, yeah, but I like Fist of Legend more too. Let's see, I'm just catching up with the chat here. Hong Kong films for that period. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I was late to that genre to the Hong Kong martial arts, but I caught up quick. I used to watch a lot of martial art films in the '90s. I used to watch, all the Richard Norton. Uh, I used to watch all the Richard Norton, um, Cynthia Rothrock, Don the Dragon Wilson. A lot
Ooh,
of
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
oh god. Well, Billy Blanks Billy Blanks probably made me laugh the most of any martial artist, um,
Is
because
he
that guy.
still doing those home videos?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's been on. I don't know if he does them all the time, but I know he's still. I know he did a lot of them. Hey Waffles. Yeah, I love. Oh, hey Al. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. So me seeing you here tonight, does that mean you guys can't go to Florida? Oh, that sucks. Uh, okay, this is. I wasn't expecting to see Al in the chat because I thought him and Vanessa would be on the way to Florida, but I guess you know, man, we're sorry what happened to you, Al. Man, we're really
Yeah.
sorry. It really sucks. Uh, Mr. Bones is saying, oh, okay. I know I watched your video today. He got a haul video today from Dollar Tree. Oh, I got a Dollar Tree story to tell you too.
Oh,
So
I got one from the day too. I got to tell you.
I actually ventured into Walmart too. So I noticed that one thing. I went over to watch the premiere of his video, and he played his intro. Oh my god! I thought I was going to die laughing. I thought I was going to die laughing. It's so. It's so. Have you seen this? Have you seen the show of any of his? Have you seen any of his? Have you seen his channel introduction video?
I don't think so. Hey, Hobbs.
Hey, Hobbs. So I go there to watch the video. I'm a little bit late, so I missed the premiere itself, but I'm behind. I'm right there. I'm watching it, and he pops up the intro for his channel. Echo, it's upside down, like like he's a bat hanging down upside down. Oh my God,
Okay.
I was dying. I was dying. I'm like, he did not do that. I'm like, this is so freaking genius.
That is.
I saw that. I'm like, Alice is way too fun. He's just way too fun. Oh my god, that cracked me up. Oh, so yeah. So before we get into our movie here, because we got 2 hours to fill, so I'm gonna do a little bit more pre-talk while I try not to lose our entire audience. So today I went over to Dollar Tree. I said, okay, everybody's doing the new wave. I went out there. I got a small haul. I got I got 6 movies. So I said, I'll venture out to Westland. Now, Westland has the biggest Dollar Tree around in my area. It's big. It means big. Now, whereas a lot of the stores, they get like you hear them, they'll sit there and say, well, my store got 3 or 4 boxes. That's not the store I go to. My store gets like 12 to 15 all the time. So I'm going over there going like, I'm going to go to Westland. I'm going to see, what I got. It's only Sunday. I can't imagine it being picked over too bad. So I drive over to Westland and I walk in and there's their movie display and there's boxes upon boxes upon boxes of movies, right? I mean, there's hundreds of movies. There's got to be about 300 there, easy. Um, And so uh, I go in there and I start going through it. I go through it and I go through it and I go through it. I go through all the single boxes. And Echo, I came up with zero. Zero.
Nothing at
Zero.
all.
Nothing. Not one thing. No TV series, no shutters. I think there was like a handful of Blu-rays, but they're the only two movies that I saw that I was even remotely interested in, both were loose in the case. So they're probably scratched up. So yeah, I was amazed. I was like, okay, all right, let's just settle down, because I'm sitting there, I'm just perplexed, right? And we're like, man, there's tons of movies here, and it's like it's just like, wow, I should find something, right? All right, that's right. I should find something. Um, I think the ghost in my room is telling me that too. So I decided to go. Okay, I'm going to go to Walmart. I'm not. You know, I'm ventured out. I'm not going to come back empty-handed from this trip. I'm just not going to do it. So I get in the car and head over to Walmart, because I'm thinking, well, I'm going to gamble for Cyrano. I'm going to gamble that my library will bring Cyrano out. But I'm looking for another movie called The Ledge. And I'm thinking, okay, The Ledge is out. There's a channel here on the tube that does, you know, what's being released. So I venture out. I go to my Walmart, and the good news is my Walmart actually has a really nice staff uh, uh, movie section. It's not bad. It's like it's a row on both sides. I was like at end caps and everything. I have not been to that Walmart in years. Actually, I've been to that Walmart in years. So I go ahead and I look, and there's no copies of Cyrano, sold out. Both all three formats: DVD, uh, Blu-ray, and 4K, all sold out. And they don't carry the Ledge. They didn't have the Ledge. So I came home empty-handed.
You would have been shocked at the dollar store today I went to. I've been there twice in the last week. Last week the place was a mess. Today it looked like someone with it was just knocking stuff off the shelves. They had carts with boxes of stuff for restocking. It looked like a hurricane hit it. My mom's in her power chair, a little, electrically wheelchair. She's having to maneuver stuff around. I'm having to move stuff out of the way. I'm going, that's why I put that post of those pictures on Instagram where I said, I need a new Dollar Tree. That was not excusable. It was a mess. Even outside, there were food wrappers. It was disgusting.
Really?
I found 8 movies, but still, it was such a disarray. And the fact that it got worse. I was in there last Monday, and I was in the other day, and it got worse in 6 days. I'm afraid to see what happens if I go in there next week.
Yeah, I can't say it was mine. The one west side, the huge one, was actually very well stocked, and extremely well stocked, and it's very clean. I mean, they're very nice people there. It's a big store, so they're constantly busy.
I had to climb over boxes just to look at the movies.
No, they had theirs right in the bin, right through. You walk through the door, you walk in, and it's just like someone came in there and did a surgical strike on it. I mean, they must have came in there and knew exactly what they're looking for, because, like I said, it's just a very few Blu-rays there, and absolutely no shutters at all. And it's like, wow, okay, now that's virtually impossible unless someone's already hit it really hard.
Well, they had a few there. They had The Purge, which I've never seen The Purge, and I Kill Giants.
Nice. That's a good movie too.
So I got a big haul video I need to film.
So when I got back and I was just poking around, I watched the movie. I watched the one movie I watched. I premiered. It came out, called The Wilderness Hotel. That was a weird movie too. Speaking of, I don't think it was Hong Kong though. I don't think it was filmed in Hong Kong. I think it was filmed in mainland China, and it was a Mandarin, with English subtitles. Now that was actually a really interesting movie. Only the fact because I don't know if it was a feature film or it was a pilot for a TV show, and just got released as a movie. It was extremely short, 63 minutes, and that's what made me think about TV. It came across more as a TV show than a movie. Um, and it was bizarre. As a pilot, it worked. That's what I said in my review. I'm more like, okay, it's a pilot because it sort of reminded me of in a sense, on a much smaller scale. It sort of reminded me of Lost. It's like, okay, you're getting put in a really weird position in a really weird place. Like there's this hotel is massively huge. I mean, there's so many things that could happen in this hotel. I mean, if you want to, use that as a launching pad, for a series. So there's a massive hotel. Um, and then I turn around and then I'm thinking, I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, it's like this would be awesome. This would be an awesome series. But as a standalone, I was just really surprised. I'm like, okay, and it was from Bayview, and I was like, okay, this is strange. I'm not sure where this is going because I like you as a pilot, but if you're going to try to tell me this is just a regular movie, I'm not liking that too much. And it just seems like a trend too. It seems like movies are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It used
What?
to be 95. It used to be like 90 minutes was the baseline.
So, 90 minutes would be your consideration for what is a regular length for a movie?
Well, it has been for a while. I mean, but well, yeah, it seems to be now. It does seem to be reversing, and it does seem like movies are getting longer. Um, I mean, there was a lot of long movies in the 70s. There's a few movies that like The Godfather, or The Deer Hunter, or Apocalypse Now that were really long. But as a trend, though, it's always been about 95 minutes, 95 minutes. Uh, which one did he review? I think which one did he review, Hops? So anyway, gosh, I guess everybody's gone today. I think we scared everybody away with our martial arts talk. All
Hey,
right,
man, martial art movies are cool, man. It's been a while. Actually, this
yeah,
has been a while since I've sat down and watched one. I can't remember the last time I sat down to watch one. The closest is when I watched, I think it's 1 versus 300 or something, which is a samurai, sword fighting movie. That's probably the closest I've watched to one in a long time.
High Pro Physical Media is in the house. Okay, I Killed Giants. Yeah, I heard that's a really good movie.
Yeah, there was something about it when I was looking at it, and it's on Blu-ray. I go, oh, it's 125, so why not?
Echo. I think I think we should probably get into this movie before we lose everybody. Okay, so the movie that we're talking about today is Fist of Legend. This came out in 1994 and it stars Jet Li as Chenzin. He is one of I think there's a few Chinese movies. They feature like Chenzin. They also feature Fong Hei Fong. Oh God, Fei Hong. Fei Hong is always in all these movies. It also stars uh, uh, Paul Chun as Uncle Noah. He was a big star. You have
Even with his hair.
Billy Chow played General Fujita. Si Hu Chin. He was very popular. He played Ting, and I'm pronouncing these names. I'm probably killing them.
It's
And
okay. I do the same thing with foreign names.
Yusaki Kurata as Fumio Funakoshi. And one other name that's really important here because let's see. Where is he? Oh, I hope they put him in there. And this was directed by Gordon Chan, written by Gordon Chan. Let's see. I'm trying to find. There's one guy in here I got to mention because he's so striking.
Who's he play?
He played. I want to say. Oh, there it is. Aragua. Aragua. The guy he fought in the dojo. Jackson Liu is his name. This dude is huge. He's a big man.
Oh yeah.
He's a big man. I mean, when I saw him, and they made a point of showing how big he really is. We'll talk about that in a minute, though.
But Jet Li, the Jet Li is not. I don't think Jet Li's that tall of a guy to begin with.
No. But this guy he's big. I mean, he's big. All right. So the setting is no Mugui. No. Just look at the movie database so I can kill all the names. So Jet Li tonight. Yes, Jet Li. That's what we're talking about. Jet Li tonight. So the film is set in 1937. It's by this time Japan and China have been at war for a while. The Japanese controlled many parts of China, but Jet Li's character is actually in Japan. When we open up the film, he's actually in Japan. He's studying over there. He's going to school.
He's going to Kyoto University, I think is how you pronounce it.
Your guess is as good as mine when it comes down to that, because I truly don't know.
That's why it's best if you have to pronounce foreign names to kind of put an apology first. Like, I'm sorry if I butcher these names.
Yeah, Kyoto University. So we see him, he's very quiet. He's very studious. Tenzin, very quiet and very serious. He's taking his studies very. He likes the culture. He likes being in Japan. He likes the culture. He falls in love. He has a girlfriend over there. So I mean, when we first meet him, things seem to be going pretty well. Everything, life is good. And but there's a lot of xenophobia over in Japan because they're at war with China. And so even though Chenzin is a very quiet and very accepting and embracing the culture, he's still Chinese. And so he experiences a lot of racial
discrimination
and heat. But he's still able to attend school. And so this is where our story really generally picks up. It really does pick up. It shows him going around and living his life. He's also a part of a school. Oh, he is. I take it back. Yeah, I mean, he's come over. He's come over to Japan. But when he left to come over there, he left a lot of hurt feelings because he was part of a dojo, and he was expected to take over it, but he didn't. He left, and so the dojo is being run by Ting. That's he's now going to be the successor to be, and then we find out during the first fight scene to get the ball really rolling. You want to walk us through the first fight scene, Echo?
Well, the first fight scene, he's just sitting there and he's just doing his work, and these guys come in and they start harassing him. They tell him, "You have to the count of 3 to leave." And his girlfriend, because he's dating a Japanese girl, and they step on this pen, and then he ends up beating up all these guys, and then her uncle comes in, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" and stuff, and she holds up the pen. "Uncle, the pen my dad gave me." And he goes from, because his whole demeanor changes from, "What's going on to here? What's going on to, uh-oh, your dad gave you that pen." Also, if you watch, he started doing like, he was popping people's, the uncle was, he was popping people's joints back into place.
Yeah. Well, the fight
sound effect though, whenever they would pop them out of place or pop them into place.
Yeah. So let me break that down a little bit. So so it opens up with the fight scene. He's in school. They're all studying, and then a group of thugs from the Black Dragon Dojo come on in, a bunch of students, and then they look, they know they're after Chenzin, but they don't know who he is. They just know the name, because he's telling everybody to get out, to get him out. All Chinese get out, but they don't signal him out right away. Uh, not until he actually, not until everybody, basically they point him out. By inadvertently they point him out. Um, and some of the students, they don't like it. The teacher doesn't like it. He gets up and he tells them, you can't come in my classroom. You can't cause a ruckus. And they rough him up, including breaking his glasses. A student comes up there and tells him to leave. He gets knocked down, and then the young lady stands up and she tells them that my uncle will hear of this. And these young thugs, they didn't know this, but the girl that they're talking to happens to be
The niece
their
of the
sensei.
master.
Yeah, their sensei. They're so they're gonna start knocking her down, and then Chenzin comes in and he stops it, and then they start fighting, and Chenzin's kung fu is super strong. I mean, it's he's right.
Really good.
Yeah, he dislocates a lot of the students. He dislocates their arms and their legs and their shoulders, and one he does the entire leg, and so he pretty much wipes out the thugs, and then the sensei comes, and that's Fumio, and it's also the Chenzin's girl. I gotta see if I can find her name, because we can't be just calling her girl. Especially since she's such an important part. It's got to be.
Okay, Mitazuko.
I think.
Call
I
her
think-
Yumada. I think let's call her Yumada. I believe is how you pronounce the character's last name. Might be a
Yeah,
little bit better than to try her first name.
Yeah, well, they call and for this version they just called her Rose. That's what they called her. And that was yeah, her name was Rose in the movie. So Rose's pin gets broken. And the uncle comes in there, he stops all the students. He basically tells them, hey, this is what you get, for coming in here like this and getting your ass kicked. And he's not really upset with Shenzhen at all. In fact, he respects him. He tells the students that this is what you get, and he starts fixing all the students starts putting back their all their
everything back
dislocation.
in. Yeah, he makes them
Yeah,
pay to replace a pin.
Yeah, and the pin, because and that was a lot of money. Did you notice that, even though he was sensei, it wasn't like he had a lot of money on him. He was, it's like, because they're at war. And so, yeah, he forced the students to pay. He should have forced them to pay for the teacher's classes too. That's what he really should have done. So Fumio and Jet Li, they Chenzin and Fumio, they talk, and they have a mutual respect. And then he asks Jet Li, he says, who's your sensei? And he tells him, and he goes, oh my. And he tells Jet Li that his sensei had been killed in a fight with I guess Yamagura.
Yeah.
And so, and of course Jet Li's thinking, all of a sudden he's just like, are you sure? And he's like, and he shows him a newspaper, and on it says that he'd been killed in a fight to the death. It was supposed to be between the two JoJos. So Jet Li then goes home to China, and whereas Chenzin is looked down in Japan for being Chinese.
He's a great big hero.
Yeah, he's also looked down in China because he went to Japan.
But when that guy that taxi driver, whatever, when he doesn't even know who he is until he drops him off at the school, and then when he finds out who he is, he kind of turns around like, "Oh, that's who you are!" Like all shocked, like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. Now, I mean, he still was Oh, okay. I asked Pro Physical if he liked Fist of Legend a little bit more. He says he still likes
The old
uh
school martial art films, yeah.
see, yeah, he likes Fist of Fury a little bit more. He likes the older martial art films. Yeah, we're gonna talk about comparisons here because it's a really interesting movie. So he gets back to this dojo, the one he left, and that's where we meet his Ting's there, and of course his teacher, the other uncle, um, the acting sensei now, because the other one got killed, Uncle Noah. He shows up. You know, he's there, and now he's acting sensei, and so uh, at first everybody's really happy to see each other. You know, oh my gosh, you know, Chenzin's back, Chenzin's back, and of course Ting initially is happy at first, but there's a little bit of reservation there because uh, Tenzin has been gone for a long time, and now all of a sudden in Ting, it looked like he was going to be the one to succeed the sensei, but now that Chenzin's come back, you know, but Chenzin is going like, no, I don't want, nope, you go ahead. You know, it's you run the school, you've been running the school for all this time, you can keep running it, and so they do. The martial arts style that they teach and use is called Wong Shin. Now, Jet Li used Jet Kidu, Joe Kidu, and it's definitely a different style. This is another one of the difference of the two movies, is that the style of martial arts that is used. Um,
And
oh,
when they go to pay their respects, they want to give him like the ceremonial stuff for the family, and the uncle stops him, and the guy say, "Hey, you know what? He's adopted. He's family. He deserves the right to put on the ceremonial stuff to pay his respects."
yeah. See, you can see that there is some resentment that he left, and that's one of the ways that they really showed it was like, well, he's not really family. He's just, you know, he hasn't been here for a while. But you're right. The uncle comes in there and
And the
says,
uncle's
no,
the one that says later on they sent him to Japan.
right.
It was so they basically the ones that sent him away.
Thank you for coming, physical, and have a great night, man. I understand, man, for being sleepy. Uh, all right, so let's see.
Hey, Betty.
Okay. God, these names are so rough, but we're gonna try to mangle them. We're gonna mangle them the best we can. Uh,
I've learned a little bit from watching Japanese wrestling. I have to listen to the names get said a few times before I can, say them.
the school is called Jingwu. That's the school's name. Is Jingwu's school, and it's actually based on the true school. It was founded in 1910.
They
And
also get all second fight when they go to the school.
yeah, initially they do. They actually yeah they actually get into another dojo. It's challenged them to a fight because
Uh,
whenever a sensei dies, the leadership for the dojo is up for grabs.
yeah,
And
and he
so,
wanted it. He wanted it, and that leads to a fight.
right, so another dojo comes on over and they challenge for the leadership of the dojo. And Ting fights because he's perceived to be the leader. So, and that's what he does. He fights, and we see that he's very good. He's a very good fighter, and he defeats the challenger quite easily. And his skill is very strong.
Ha
Um,
ha ha! Very cute, Hobbs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You try it, Hobbs.
we're already massacring this as well. Uh, so while this is happening, the dojo's being challenged for. Ting wins the fight, and then of course Jet Li is just he's going to start looking for he's gonna start looking for the guy who killed the master. He wants to see who this guy is.
Yeah.
You know, he hears the name Agutagawa, but he's not really, he wants to see who he is. So he starts looking, and of course he's pretty narrow-minded in doing this, and he's very distant from the rest of the of the school, and of course one of the young ladies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young ladies there that really like Tenzin,
But there
and
was one particularly more than the others.
yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to.
She was so because there was 3 girls.
Oh,
Was it 2 or 3 that were working there initially?
well, what was really strange was remember the part I really caught me with this was they went and he was so focused that he could not understand how his master could die, in a fight. It's like the guy, there's no way no one's going to beat this guy one-on-one, and so and then he goes ahead and he has his body exhumed. Now that was
he goes to the other dojo to confront the guy, beats up some of the students there, and then he fights him.
But before he gets there, though, we have to talk about we have to talk about him exhuming the guy's body, because
he doesn't exhume it until after they have the fight. Because that's when he realized he doesn't exhume him until after he fights the guy who killed his master, and he beats him. And right before he had the fight, he goes, "Whoever dies, there's been no revenge." And he beats him, and then he goes and looks down and goes, "There's no way you could have beat my master." That's when he decides to go do the exhume and do the autopsy.
What did you think of what did you think? I mean, I thought the fight. I mean, this is very much this is probably the first part of the movie that actually does compare to the Fist of Fury, when Bruce Lee walks into the dojo for the first time. When he walks in, he comes in and he fights the whole dojo, and it's almost a shot for shot remake of the first movie, where Bruce Lee's character walks in, and then then one of the Japanese students walks over there and says, take your feet out of here, basically deriding him, and then walking over there and and then getting beat down for his problem, for his first trouble. And so they had that fight, and Bruce Lee pretty much wipes out the whole dojo, including his 2 best students, until he fights the leader of the dojo. The Fist of Legend. Now, see, this is part right here. This is the part right here. This is probably the first really true fight scene that shows you that Fist of Legend is much better in a sense than Fist of Fury. Is that when he fought in the dojo, and before, he's fighting a guy that's clearly out of shape. He's really round. He wears thick glasses. He's not fast. He could teach, but he can't fight. His days of fighting are long gone. And I mean, because Bruce Lee, not only does he take care of the dojo, but he takes care of that sensei in pretty damn quick fashion. Now, the Jet Li fight, on the other hand, is a little bit more intense. And you can see that when he fights, he's actually fighting some pretty good students. I mean, the fight scene was really good. I mean, Jet Li, his fight scene was designed to put him over big. It was almost like sort of superhero type fight, including the one scene where he grabs two of the main, like the lieutenants, and you can obviously see that they're dummies, and he throws them against the wall. Yeah,
you have one guy who tries to sneak up behind him during this fight.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden you hear the sound. The guy goes like, "Oh!" Cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Guy goes down, just holding his groin. It's like, "Oh!"
It literally is a scene for scene comparison to Fist of Fury. It's definitely it's a total remake of the fight. And so as he's fighting them, and he's taking care of business, and he shows mercy. He shows mercy. He doesn't really want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want them. He wants the teacher. So him fighting them, he's trying to cause him to come out, and then that's what happens. Oh God, let me get this.
Yeah, he comes out.
Otagawa.
And that's when they
comes
have the
out.
whole thing where he tells them, okay, we're gonna have this fight, and if one of us dies, there'll be no revenge. That'll be
That
it.
guy was huge. That guy was huge.
You can see when he walks out and then he has those two
Oh,
guys standing next to him.
yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah,
They have some
it
big
was funny
guys
how
in here.
it was sort of funny. It was like I like. It was interesting how how after as he's wiping out the last of the guys in the main dojo. Here goes Otagawa. Yeah, see now Hobbs has got me going. He comes out, and then when he sees him, it's like you think it would be the two students holding him back so they could go fight on his behalf, but he puts his two hands to hold his two students back. He puts both his hands on the chest, like, no, you guys don't go up there. And then you're right. Then they face off, and at first you think that Otagawa is just an asshole. You do. You think that he really is. But I thought it was very honorable for him to do that. To come out with those terms. Like, if one of us dies, there won't be any revenge. I mean, he's telling Tenzin that, if you beat me, you're all right. You're not going to be touched.
Yeah,
But
basically that's it.
yeah,
No
he
more.
didn't have to do that. But then we find out why a little bit later we find out why. But
The code of a samurai.
yes, he had honor. He had honor, and I do think they showed that there in a later scene. So they fight. They fight, and then Chenzin's all in his business. I mean, he's just too fast. He's way too fast. He penetrates his defenses because his kung fu, his karate is he's so big. He's slow. So Jet Li's able to get in underneath his defenses, with Tenzin get underneath his defenses, and then he loses his temper. He loses his cool at the end of the fight. Aragawa loses his. He has that honor, but he's being embarrassed in front of everybody. It's not even a fight.
His honor is being bruised, basically.
Right. His honor is being very much torched here, and so instead of fighting a clean fight, he starts resorting to cheating, like Tenzin basically stopping the fight. It's just an exhibition. He's not really trying to hurt anybody. He's just trying to prove a point. But then at the end, Aragua, he's going to try to strike for real, and then Jet Li breaks his fingers for his troubles.
And that's when Jet Li's like, no, there's no way you could have beat my master.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I mean, the way he really didn't even really have to hit him. That was the interesting part. Is like he didn't even try to have to hit him. He was proving to both himself and to Aragawa that, listen, I can get in on you anytime, and I'm not nearly as good as my master, and yet I'm able to do this. So of course, he knows. He even tells the guy right to his face, "You're right. There's no way you could have beaten him."
And I think he said he was using the same style right before the fight too. He said he was going to use the same style his master was going to use, and that also really enforces how he knows he couldn't have done it.
And the style that they use is Wun Chun. That's the style of combat martial arts system they use for this movie. Where Jet Li used his own system, the Jet Kido, Do. Yeah, I probably should have written that down, but I still would have mangled the name, so I'm not too. So then they go ahead and they exhume the sensei's body,
which must have been in bad state because you saw everyone was reacting.
Yeah,
they open it up.
You know how big of a cultural taboo that was back then. I mean, you just didn't do that. I mean, you saw the shock and horror on everybody's face when he says, I want to exhume his body."
Even the doctor wasn't Chinese either.
No, he was actually American.
And he was having trouble doing it. And so Jet Li, he had to be the one who is like, "What do you need?" He goes, "Oh, the liver."
Right. And it shows off the sort of the because he was at college. It shows off his his training. He was. I don't know what he was studying to be. It looked like we never really found out about what he was good at. He was at school for,
But
but he
that
knew
scene,
enough.
yeah, that scene could have been a little bit of a hint what he was working on in college. That
Yeah,
they had to make
it
the
might
cut
have
and
been.
stuff.
It might have been. But they exhumed the body, and of course, this causes a lot of dissension in Chenzin's dojo. They're not happy with it, and they're appalled. But they go ahead and they do it. They exhume his body, and we do find out that he's been poisoned. The sensei has been poisoned, and that really causes a strong buzz among everybody. Everybody's talking about it, and now we see the first appearance of our main bad guy was his General Fujita, and
Ooh,
we also find out.
The English dub of this. Oh God, they gave him a bad voice.
Oh, General Chow, yeah. General Fujita, Billy Chow, yes.
This is a terrible voice they gave him. I don't know why.
Now we also find out too, for the first time too, that there's not everybody in the dojo is on their side. We see that there are a couple of traitors, and they're shown to be traitors in Chenzin's dojo. The cook and one of the guys, one of the people who live at the dojo.
Yeah, the nephew of the cook.
Yeah, they're related, and we find out that they've been taking money from Japanese to do their bidding within the school, and one of them was to slide in the poison, which he did. So the cook slid in the poison to the sensei.
And by this point also the other guy that when he from the dojo he had fought, he found out what happened and he shows up. He was like intoxicated or something when he showed up to confront the general. And he was the ambassador, was it?
Well, it was the General Fujita's in a room, and he's in the room, and here comes none other than Aragawa. He comes in, and you're right. He's drunk, and he comes in there, and he's very upset. He's drunk because he's like, that's not how he wanted to win. It's not, he thought he won a great victory. And lo and behold, he found out that he won only because General Fujita had killed him, had poisoned him. So he was dying as he was fighting. And so he's really upset because that's not who he is.
He's not talking about the whole honor spirit of the samurai. And the guy's like, yeah, this is what it is, and the general ends up killing him.
Yeah.
In front of the ambassador who doesn't do anything.
No. Well, gosh, I mean, back then, the army was king in Japan at that time. A master he did not have nearly the power as he would have normally had. He still had power, but at the time, General Fujita was king. He was the head guy. And you're right. I mean, that's what I mean. And, it was sort of strange watching that scene because you thinking, well, all right, at the end of their fight with Tenzin, he's sitting there and he's sitting there going like, he loses his cool and he attacks Tenzin, beyond the scope of what they agreed to, but he has remorse for that. I mean, he's not sitting there going like, all right, fine, if I killed him by that way, who gives a shit, I got embarrassed earlier. I got beat down, so I really don't care how it happened. But that's not the case. Is that he still has honor, and he's right. He's embarrassed. He's embarrassed again. I could have beaten him straight up, but now but he never knows because he got poisoned.
It's also because of Jet Li's victory over him. The other students in the school start to look up to him, which gets Ting jealous, and we find out he's seeing a prostitute.
Oh yeah, Ting, yeah. Not only that either. But Fujita, they show Fujita for the first time exactly how dangerous he is. He gets up and he kills Aragawa and
he snaps his back. I think it is.
He broke his back. Yeah, he snapped his back. He's He's freakishly strong. He's incredibly strong. Uh, so yes, and then at the school, you're right. You're right. At the school, um, I thought that was really, it was really cool how they showed, Ting and Ting and Tenzin were friends, and they're like brothers. And so what really happens is when his girlfriend comes over from Japan, and she comes over, and all of a sudden it's and you're right, she comes over to see Shenzhen, and then that really causes a ruckus,
Yeah,
because
because
now she's experiencing what he did in Japan. Now she's experiencing that in
yeah,
in China,
but
and basically his own family,
yeah,
his own dojo is, when she comes over to see him, they're all
yeah,
looking at him and her.
yeah. But the thing is that before she comes over, they frame him for the murder of that guy, and then they show up. His dojo shows up at the other dojo, and they'll like hand him over. And they end up that fight scene with the two dojos. They have to fight, and then the quote unquote police show up, and he's pointing a gun at the guy because he tells him, "Respect me." He's like, "No, you shoot me." He goes, "No, but my gun might accidentally go off."
Yeah, it shows the dynamic between the Japanese and the Chinese at that time, because even though they're in China, and they were occupied, you know they still allowed some of the Chinese some authority, but a lot of the Chinese police and other authorities, they always sort of bowed down to what the Japanese wanted. And initially, you're right, they were going to try to arrest him for Aragua's murder, but uh, it was proven easily in court that he didn't do it.
Oh, but that
That was
court scene, though, when they were talking about
funny.
how you can't trust what a Chinese, when they're like, well, you can't believe what a Chinese person says.
Yep. And see, that's really what it was, and that's really what it was. They're trying to frame them. It was trying to frame them, and it shows you how much Japan was controlling that section of China. So it was not a very easy time for the Chinese at that time. I mean, it
It,
was
it,
very brutal. I mean,
it,
the feel of Japan. I mean, that's one of the things in this movie they talk about too. They want to show you how bad it was for
yeah.
the Chinese during that time. Um,
And when she shows up and she starts lying, then they're like, because she blatantly lies. And the judge is like, well, this is a waste of my time. So, case
uh,
dismissed.
of course, by now, Shenzhen is starting to show the students in the school, because he won so quickly, in some of the fights in beating Aragua. The students really want to know, how did he do it? We teach us. They want Shenzhen to be their sensei.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
And that leads to the jealousy between him and the other guy.
right, but Ting had already been. You're right. They showed his. He'd been leaving the dojo at night, and he had not only was he seeing a prostitute, but even worse, he was smoking opium. And that was messed up, because that was going to slow him down, as you can see too. When initially at one time, they were approached as equals. Him and Ting were seen as equals, but because Ting hasn't really been practicing as much and really hadn't been involved, like when they do fight for the dojo, um, and they both use Wong Chun, you can see how quickly, and Jet knows that he's better. He knows that he's better, and Ting knows that he's better, and so when
But
they square off. They square off, and Jet Li is holding back. He's holding. He doesn't really want to fight. He does not
he,
want to fight.
he doesn't even want to really be in charge.
No, no, he really didn't. He just wanted to find out who killed his teacher.
And
His
be with the
goal was
woman
to
he
kill his
loved.
teacher. Yeah, he just wanted to find out who killed his teacher and go home and go back to Japan. He wanted to go back to the studies, and circumstances were basically he was being forced into it. And then when his girlfriend came over, and he got upset at seeing how he was treated, and so he didn't really like that at all. But he's still, oh, thanks, Hobbs.
Oh, and that court scene when she goes, we got a hotel together, and we didn't get any sleep, and those guys are sitting there like, what? What's she talking about?
Yeah, the hotel scene. He went over to Japan. See the young lady, the young lady when she, as she, his Japanese girlfriend when they're in Japan. She really couldn't see exactly how bad it was for Chenzin at that time because she was protected by her uncle. And so she really didn't understand what he was facing on a daily basis. The discrimination and the comments and the hostile action.
Oh, you want Echo the bunny?
Oh, Echo the bunny. Shit.
There you go. But no, it's just like when I kind of cracked up a little bit, chuckled in that courtroom scene when they're like they didn't understand what they meant by they didn't get no sleep, and they're like those three guys are like, what? And the guy goes, oh yeah, they were fooling around.
Yeah, they were fooling. But but I liked how they showed her when she came in, and when she came to China to come, see Tenzin, she then experienced everything that he had, and so she understood it.
The cook of the dojo wouldn't cook for her. He was told it's her or the dojo. They go to get a hotel.
They couldn't get a hotel.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, you're great. Oh, wait a minute. You're the guy who's been shacking up with the Japanese girl. No, get out.
Yeah. So all this discrimination and hatred that Tenzin was experiencing in Japan, she now saw what he was going through.
Firsthand, she was experiencing.
But you know what though? I really liked her character. Rose, I really liked her character. I think that it basically, it shows her tolerance. She didn't run away. She could have just left, but she didn't. She stayed with him, and I thought that showed a lot of her character. And so I respected her so much for that, and but what really shocked Chenzin was the fact that he wanted to bring her over to his dojo, and then his own dojo was very nasty and cruel to her. Very, like he thought, well, gosh, I could bring her over here. We could stay here, and then the reaction that he got from his own school really shocked him. It's like, wow, I didn't.
We got a fight between him and Ting
for the school. The fight for the school. That was, like I said, that's an interesting fight. It was like there's four big fights in this movie. I guess actually five. I guess the first fight, Aragua. This is like the third fight. This is like the third fight they had that really was important, and it was Tenzin versus Ting, and like I said, I mean, Jet Li really didn't. Chenzin did not want to be put in that hole. He didn't want to be put in, facing off against his friend and basically his brother. And what do you think? Do you think he did right in holding back, or you think that he should have just?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't want to hurt him. They were probably like brothers, and he didn't want to hurt him.
I think it was more like it was almost sort of like a. I think a fight like that would be more like counting coup, so to speak. Like, look, I could like he wanted to fight the same way he fought Aragua. He didn't fight to hurt. He only fought to show that he could beat you. But like there's several times where Jet Li's like, where Tenzin, God, where Tenzin shows that he can penetrate Ting's defenses, and he doesn't follow through. He knows that he could do it, but he doesn't. And I thought that was really interesting. You can see the conflict between the two of them, because at this time Chenzin was, he had every reason not to be necessarily hold back, because the way that all the stress that he had gone through at that point. The sensei was gone. They weren't initially going to let him. They weren't initially going to let him be part of the family burial. Um, the fact Aragua got killed, and then he got pulled into court. His girlfriend comes over from Japan, and his own dojo treats him like shit. Treats her like shit. I mean, he could have just said, "You know what? Screw it. I'm going. If you want to fight me, I'm going to take you out. I'm going
I
to
mean,
beat your ass."
when there's a lot of people, not even outside the dojo, who are like, "Oh, you're such a great guy. You're such a great guy," but then the moment they find out about her, he
It really,
loses it all.
it really was something else. People don't really understand what that battle was. So then they fight in the courtyard, and Jet Li shows that he's outclasses Ting, but not necessarily because Ting's a bad fighter, but because Ting has not been practicing. He's not been practicing at all. He's been going to the brothel, and he's been smoking opium, so his skill level is way down where it should be. And so, after again, it's almost a repeat of the fight with Aragua, whereas Jet Li has proven his skill, but the other guy, Ting's still going to attack. And so finally, after and then Chenzin gets up after being knocked down, and he's realizing that half the dojo's watching him get his ass kicked, and he looks over and sees his girlfriend there, and he says, enough's enough. So he brushes himself off and he starts fighting for real, and he whips Ting's ass. I mean, he beats him, but he doesn't want anything to do with the dojo. He's like, I beat you, but I don't want,
Yeah.
you can have Jing Wu. And so he takes his shoes, his property, and his lady, and he leaves. He leaves the dojo,
And then
and
Ting disappears again.
he disappears, and so now we come to a split. We're heading into the third part of the movie where they want Chenzin, they want him dead. They want him beaten, and so Japan decides to send in Fumio. While that's going on, the school itself is being taken over by the Japan. The students come back from the Aragua's clan, and General Vegeta wants to shut the school down.
They challenge the head of the gym of the school. Only there's a problem.
Yeah, he's not around.
Yeah, neither of them are around. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and Chin is off in the graveyard.
Yeah.
His girlfriend's freaking out over mice.
His girlfriend was pretty amazing. I mean, she could have just ran home, but she didn't. Not at all. And she stayed with it. And but imagine the surprise when they see who's coming over, who they picked to fight and to kill him. And the thing is, but they don't know. The Japanese don't know is that Fumio and Chenzin have already met. They don't know that they've already met. And when Fumio comes out, he this is one of the best fight scenes that I've ever.
I really enjoyed this fight.
There's two scenes in this movie that I absolutely love. I love this scene here, and I love the final fight. This is where this movie elevates itself past Fist of Fury for me. I mean, up to that point, it's been pretty solid. It's been really good, but still, Fist of Fury is better. This fight between Fumio and then later on the fight with General Vegeta, this is where, to me, Fist of Legend becomes legendary. Because the fight between Fumio and Chenzin, it's poetry. It's poetry. And so it was one of the best fight scenes ever. And it's what I really loved about it was the fact that it was packed with honor and skill and technique.
He's talking to him about fighting, and he's like, "Oh, about strength." And Shin picks up the rock and he hits it and breaks it. And he's like, "Yeah, but humans are tougher." And he just right as like a leaf or something's going by, he just waves his hand, and it's like, "Yeah, you got to hit harder to hurt a human." And he cuts the leaf just ever so easily. in half.
Now, I'm not a martial artist, so I mean, as far as their techniques and whatnot go, I can't really speak on the technical terms of the fight. I know they both use. I know that Jet Li uses Wing Chun, and I believe that Fumio used definitely a form of karate. So their styles are different, but that fight is amazing.
Yeah.
At first, it's very even. It's very even, and then as they fight, the weather gets worse and worse. And and Fumio, he gets some sort of the wind damages one of his eyes, and he can't see out of very well. So Chenzin says, I'm not going to I'm not going to fight you that way. I mean, if you can't see, neither can I. And so both men, they go ahead and they put blind. They blind themselves. They put basically they shrouds over their
Yeah.
face, and then they continue to fight.
And how they would he realized he feels around, he feels a rock, and he realized, oh, okay, I'll throw this rock to
Yeah,
basically distract him. So it was, and
yeah.
I guess the actor,
Yeah. Now, what's really cool about this too, what I really thought was really interesting about this is that they show Fumio winning, and he does win. He wins that fight. If they had if they had gone on, I mean, initially Tenzin is the better fighter in the beginning, but as the longer the fight goes, you can see Fumio's skill level, it goes up, and he wins the fight. He does win. Of course, he's very, very tired afterwards and very,
yeah,
very sore.
and he's
But
talking about adapt, about telling him how he needs to watch his opponents and
right.
study them and to adapt them, and that to watch out for the general.
Well, I like the fact that he says, if you could see, like if you could adapt style, like if you just fight with just one style, that is, and that's all you know. If you can't adapt to anything else, then you're gonna get beat. Like Fumio, what he did was initially start off as karate, but he adapted to Jet Li's Wing Chun. He adapted what Jet Li was doing, and he was able to beat him by adapting to it. Whereas
And
Jet Li could not do that against Fumio.
he
And
tells him that
so,
if he adapts, that he will be unbeatable.
right, I thought it was a really powerful lesson. And Fumio was there to kill him. That was the deal. He was supposed to go over there to kill him, but they didn't know that his niece was Chenzin's girlfriend or anything else. So they sent the wrong guy. He was just there to, I'm coming out here just to do this. And they fight and they see what happens, and they know that he knows that he loves his niece. It's just nothing but, especially you got to think of the time, you know. Again, and this is one thing this movie did, and I'm sure it was highly controversial at the time when it was released. Is they showed a lot of the Japanese in a good light, and that was really quite different because if you go back to Fist of Fury, there was none of that respect. There's no respect. I mean, it was just it was everybody everybody hated everybody. It was like that's really what it was. They were just they weren't there to become friends or anything else. They were there to kill each other. Whereas Fist of Legend, here it is, a few years later, and they weren't, yes, the Japanese were definitely the bad guys, but first Aragua and then Fumio, they show the Japanese in a better light. And I love to go back and actually, I probably should have. I'd like to go back and see some of the reviews from China and Japan about this movie. I mean, how did they see this movie? Was that a problem back then? That would be interesting to see. Uh, so Ting now finds out that General Fujita is going to close the school. He's going to close Jingwu, He's telling him he's got a certain, it's got a certain amount of time to do it. He can come to see the general about it, and they can discuss the terms of them shutting down the school.
Yeah, the
Um,
prostitute shows up at the
um,
school.
well, yeah, then they find out, and they have to go get Ting, of course, and he's doped up. He's doped up. He's unhappy or whatever.
And then
And
they tell him that they're gonna buy the school is gonna buy her out from the whorehouse.
right.
He's like, go get the madam. We're gonna buy her out, and the next thing you know, you see her, she's now with the school.
Because and so she's with the school. She tells them what's been going on with Ting, and Ting's going to have to go and face the general because the general's saying that he's going to shut the school down at the very last minute. And they're worried because they're going to have to. He's going to have to go face the general, and we see how strong the general is by now. They show the general working out. Well, we'll see about that in a minute, but there's two scenes where they show him training, and the second scene is absolutely terrifying. But as he's doing that training, Jet Li shows back up, and he knows about the school being shut down, and he shows up to help Ting, and so those two go to meet the general. Yeah, I was really I like that scene too. Because basically not only the Fumio showed Chenzin how to adapt fighting, but he also showed him how to fight, how to adjust as a man.
We also find out that
You know,
he knows the ambassador.
well, yeah, but I'm talking about Jet Li could have been back there. He could have cared less. Here it is, his own people are treating him and his girlfriend, or his wife, basically by this point, like shit. He had no reason to go back for the school. He had no reason to go back. I mean, again, how he'd been treated and everything else. Everything had going against him from the minute he put foot in China. He didn't have to go back. He just said, "Fine, you guys are mocking me. You're mocking my wife. Why would I give a rat's ass about the school or anybody in it? You know." But but he does come back. It's like it's his sensei, it's his friends, it's his family. He's going to come back, to help out.
Yeah.
And so, his wife tells him to go back, and so he comes back, and he right at the very last minute, and of course everybody's happy to see him because it's like they're sort of scared for Ting because Ting has not been practicing. And he's not the same. He got beat by Tenzin, and he's just not the same fighter he was once. So they walk down to the Black Dragon dojo, and then we see where the general's training. That training montage was sick. He's breaking rocks with his head. They put him over as a machine. I mean, General Cheetah is he's an amazing character. Hi, Loves. How are you?
Other than his English voice dub sounding really terrible, yeah, he's got a presence and all to him.
Oh yeah, he's a big dude. Billy Chow's a big man. I mean, he's very formidable.
And when he has that uniform on, the hair slicked back.
I wish they would have showed him a little bit more, like as far as the fight scene goes. I wish they would have showed it just a little bit. Him. I wish they would have showed him a little bit more in action. But I think they're awful smart in not showing it. Because they show the little montage training scene, so we get and he killed Adagua, but Adagua was drunk. He was drunk, so he was able to stop him and kill him with ease. And then on the training montage, like Bruce Lee says, bullets don't hit back. So while the montage was cool, but we don't really get a chance to see him fight anybody else other than Aragua for a minute.
Would that
Oh,
really be a fight? That was more like just,
yeah. I wouldn't call that a fight.
yeah, that's just beat a guy around a little bit and then pick him up and snap his back.
Have a great Monday, Luz. Wow, my computer is really screwed up.
That's
So so we see Ting, and now he's acknowledged as the leader of the school. He comes on in. They both come in, and they see General Cheetah sitting in the middle of the floor, and he's got a sign next to him, and they walk in, and the general looks up and he gives them terms. He says, "I have something for you." So he's making a gesture. He's showing he's being sort of like, I'm gonna show you something here. First of all, what he does, it puts Chenzin in a way. It sort of puts Chenzin on his heels in a sense because he says, "I have something for you," and then he brings out the killer of the sensei, which is the main
also killed his
motivation.
own uncle too.
Huh?
Because remember, the guy, the traitor, killed his own uncle to keep him quiet.
Right.
And everyone thinks it's suicide.
Yeah. So he brings the killer out, and that's what Shenzhen on the heels and Ting on the heels too. Because think about it, yeah. And so, there we go. You got the killer of the uncle, you got the killer of the sensei. But for Shenzhen, that's been this whole focus, is to find the guy who killed his uncle or the sensei.
Yeah,
Well, now there it is, right there. I mean, half your anger, you're sitting there looking at the killer, and half your drive is gone because it's like, oh, okay, well, he's dead. That's really what I wanted. Okay, so that's sort of, you would think that would cause him to relax a little bit. And two, General Fujita doesn't really necessarily say that they're fighting to the death. He says, if you could defeat me in a fight, you could keep your school. But the sign that he has says the school is closed, unless you could beat me. Unless you could beat me, then that's what's going to happen. And it was sort of shocking too. It's like there's no ceremony. Like with Aragua, there was on Fumio, there was a little bit of a ceremony. It's like they're going to walk up and face off with each other, and and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Even the fight with Ting was like that. It's like, okay, we're going to square off. You know why I'm here. You know why you're here. But Ting, he just attacks without anything, with any, just as soon as General Fujita explains his terms, there's no preamble. There's no like everybody getting to their stance or anything. They just start. I mean, Ting just starts throwing hands,
and not having no effect on him either.
Yeah,
he jumps up at one point, takes both his feet, smacks the guy that jumped on the side of the head with both of them, and he just stands there like. You can see that he's realizing, oh shit, I'm in for it, because he's looking up at one point like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, he's not even rocking this guy at all in the slightest.
No, he's not.
And he dislocates his shoulder with his head.
Hey, if he can break stones with his head, I'm sure he can do something to bones.
Yeah, he dislocates Ting's shoulder. I mean, he fucks Ting up in about a minute. I mean, literally about a minute.
It was just nothing to him. It was just having a flying around Swan. It's nothing.
Right. And the thing is though, is that Ting is using Wun Chun. That's the same style that Jet Li's fighting. That's what the dojo teaches. And so here's Jet Li. He's looking back at supposedly the leader, and he's seeing that not only is the leader getting his ass kicked, but his style's getting his ass kicked too. And so he gets knocked out. He's got a dislocated shoulder, and he's up against the wall. And then General Fujita tosses the sign toward him. It's a wooden sign with paper in it. It wouldn't have hurt necessarily, but it was just it would have meant. It was like it was just
The word part would have hurt a little.
I think it was just a sign of disrespect. It was just like, here,
Yeah,
here,
take this.
take that, right? And then but Jet Li comes over, or Tenzin comes over, kicks the sign in half, and then he's like, well, you still got me to to deal with. And so of course Fujita's, he underestimates Shenzhen because Ting is supposed to be the leader of the dojo. He's supposed to be the toughest. So he just sees Shenzhen as, like, okay, whatever. But that doesn't last very long.
No, I think that by this point, Shen has I took it into heart what Uncle said.
Now, before we get, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying he's probably like what he had said. He talked about him about adapting and stuff. He took it to the heart. So he's probably watching everything that happened and kind of going, okay, this is what I'm seeing him do, and he's taking things, and he's probably studied him a little bit.
Yeah, I think Fujita had I think he had studied. He probably got that from the killer. He probably got an idea of the style that they were using. But I want to talk a little bit about Fist of Fury's final fight, a little bit, because in Fist of Fury's final fight, again, they don't fight anywhere near. Bruce Lee does not face anybody nearly as strong as Fujita. In fact, Bruce Lee didn't face anybody like him in any of his movies. No. I mean, that's probably the only. It's probably the only bad thing about Bruce Lee's movies is that the final guys that he fights are not that impressive.
Yeah, there wasn't that villain that was so dangerous, like
except for Chuck Norris. I mean, Chuck Norris, but even then, I mean,
Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris's chest hair.
Yeah, I guess only that fight I would say would I guess Chuck Norris. I will say this. I will have to say this about the fight with Chuck Norris. I think part of that fight was really cool. Was where they fought in the Coliseum and
the cats watching.
Right, but I always was like, half the battle in that fight was the ground, because every time you would get hit and fall down, that was unforgiving. I mean, it really. I mean, here you are, you're falling on a rock. I mean, that's
no pads,
no pad. But in the Fist of Fury, he comes over. Bruce Lee's character comes over, and he fights the same dojo. He beats the third level guy. Then he comes out and he beats the other two bodyguards, and then he faces off against Robert Baker, the big Russian. And it's probably probably Baker against Robert Baker and Fujita. No, I just didn't. You just never really sensed that Robert Baker was the Russian was any sort of a threat. He was a big guy, but he really wasn't a threat. You just never really bought that.
Did you enjoy the fight, or did you enjoy Chuck Norris's hairy chest?
As far as as Bruce Lee's finals fights go,
didn't he fight somebody? Was it Into the Dragon, the guy that had the claws?
Yeah, Han. He fought Han in Enter the Dragon, and then he fought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game of Death, which was, on the surface, it was cool. But part of it was, I don't know, it was cool, but it was just like,
I don't know
final fights go. I mean, they had to take Bruce Lee to make it look good. They had to make Bruce Lee go up the ladder. So by the time he got to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was exhausted. Because that's the only way that fight was going to look good. It was like, because otherwise, if they would have just met on even ground, that's not going to be a good final fight. It just wasn't going to be. I didn't think so. And then he fought the one guy in the Chinese Connection. I think the one guy in the lawn, and then and then he fought again in Fist of Fury, he fought the samurai. Oh yeah, Chuck Norris, yeah. Oh, the Chuck Norris fight, yeah, the Chuck Norris fight was good. I just thought the Vegeta fight in Fist of Legend was just one of the best.
In wrestling terms, that we would call Vegeta one of those monster hills that doesn't feel anything until he faces the big superstar. Is the one that breaks him down.
He was just a badass. So I was actually, when I was watching the movie, I was comparing who they had, like who did Bruce Lee fight in comparison to Vegeta, and there just really wasn't anybody I could compare it to. I mean, that he was just so formidable.
Yeah, I like that kind of villain in a movie, because if you have someone like that who could basically take everything you have and hardly have any effect, it's much better than a guy that takes a few punches and you won.
Yeah, I mean, when the fight starts, of course, Fujita's a little overconfident. He really is, and I'd be the first one to say that. I mean, he dispatched Ting so fast. Here he comes there. And Jet Li attacks him. Chenzin attacks him. At first, there's no effect until he kicks him. He does that back kick. And he wakes up Fujita then. But I'll tell you that.
Like, oh, wait a minute, this is going to be a fight.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is not going to be so easy. But so the fight starts, and Bruce Lee. Chenzin, and this is another thing too. What I really like. Now, once in a while they show Bruce Lee taking a hit. Once in a while. It's like, oh, okay, so he can be hit. Here, Tenzin gets hit, and he gets hit a lot. And I like that, because that's realistic. It's realistic, right?
Yeah.
For especially against a final guy, But if you go back again, you go back to Bruce Lee's movie, back to Bruce Lee's finals fights, he might get hit once or twice initially, but that's it. It's like he gets hit once or twice, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, fine. I got hit twice. That's all. That's all you're gonna get on me.
Yeah, he's like, that's what the contract says. It's
like the one scene in Bruce Lee's career, that the one fight which I liked, but I hated this scene, was in Game of Death, and he's on the first level and he's fighting Danny Inosanto, right? And those two are fighting. And Bruce Lee's is pretty much smacking him around, right? And so Danny Inosanto manages to hit Bruce Lee once, right? I mean, after all the time he's been hit, he gets hit, and then they show him walking, basically he's standing there with his hands on his hips, telling Bruce Lee, "How do you like that?" And then he's wide open, and then Bruce Lee hits him back. I'm going like, there's no way that Donnie Inosanto is going to stand there and crow about that. He's still going to be fighting. He's not going to hit him once and then stand there. Well, how do you like that now? Like, I got a hit on you after you got 20 on me. How do you like it? I just hate that little scene. Jet Li's Chenzin, he gets beat. I mean, he really gets beat. He gets, and Vegeta is working him over. He gets a few hits, but he's on the defensive. And finally, Vegeta's power overcomes him, and he knocks him down, and you can see Vegeta smiling. And Ting, they showed Ting, he's up against the wall, and his eyes are like this big, because he knows that, oh shit, if he loses here, we're screwed. We're screwed. And now we don't know. They don't know if Vegeta's going to be happy with just winning, or is he going to try to kill them both? And you can see the fear in Ting's eye, like if you lose, we might lose forever.
Yeah.
So of course, then we have the part where Chenzin gets up and remembers Fumio's advice, about adapting styles.
Yeah.
Says, okay, fine. I can't beat him using only this technique. I gotta play his game. So he gets up and he sucks it up and he changes his fighting style. And during the initial fight, that part of the fight, he goes for that throat. He goes for the throat, and then Vegeta knocks his throat. He blocks it. He blocks it with his chin, and then he knocks him back down. I thought it was really cool too. And there was and this is the first time that I saw Jet Li do his tradition. He does this in every fight scene that he has. Every time there's a Jet Li movie, there's one thing he does in every fight. If you look at it, when he fights, he does this. He waves him forward.
Yeah, like they come here.
Right.
Actually, they do that in a lot of martial arts movies. It's either come here or
yeah, but he was
beckoning them.
But that's a trademark for Jet Li. I mean, every fight he's in, you can see him in a final fight or whatever. You can see him going there, and you'll see him going. Come forward, and so here comes Vegeta, and all of a sudden, Jet Li goes to work on him, and I thought it was really clever. The technique, what I liked was when he he basically slapped him in his eye with the back of his hand.
And
he cut him around the eye, and and it caused blood to go in his eye, and so it took away his vision. So now you attack from that side. I mean, if you notice in the fight, that's what he did. He hit him in the eye, caused the cut, and then he focused all his attack on that side of his head, of his body. So because he couldn't see it coming, he was blinded to it. And I thought that was really smart because he was at such a size disadvantage. I mean, Fujita's probably what 6'2", I mean, he was a big Japanese. He was like 6'2", maybe 210 pounds, 220. I mean, maybe because Jet Li's small man. He's like about 160. I mean, the size difference was formidable. So he attacks. He cuts Vegeta around the eye. Do you think that was you think that was fair, or do you think it was just like do what you have to do to win?
I was going with you. I'm trying to see how tall that guy is.
Billy Chow.
Damn.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Kickboxer.
Oh yeah.
53 fights, record 45 wins, 8 losses.
That's really good.
32 of those wins, knockout.
Yeah. So what do you think of Chenzin's attack? Do you think it was once he adapted, once he decided to go more freestyle? Do you think that would have been? Do you think that I thought it was pretty brilliant?
Yeah, it's because it was really showing that he had listened to what he was told and he was adapting. It's like adapting and evolving, and it really helped him in finding this guy who up at that point really was hardly feeling anything.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good thing, Hobbs. The Cheetah versus Freddy. Now I like Freddy Krueger. He's got a glove. He's got 5 blades on the glove, right? He's pretty badass. I mean, here goes But the thing is, though, the Cheetah has him outnumbered. I mean, you're talking
20?
you got 20 versus 5. And I can tell you, the Cheetah knows.
Not counting the fangs too.
Fangs are there, but the claws definitely are razor sharp, and I know that for firsthand.
But just remember, Freddy's a dirty fighter.
Well, I think the Cheetah would use some Antonio Banderas in Shrek 2. Remember Puss in Boots in Shrek 2? Well, he says where he runs and they're chasing him in the castle, and he turns around and he's sitting there and he's looking all big old eye, big sad eyes, cat. Just a big. That's the Cheetah style too. That's the Cheetah style.
that is playing dirty.
Oh, it was. Oh my God, that scene in Shrek 2, I thought I was going to lose. My wife thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was laughing so hard at that when he turned around and he's standing there with his eyes all big, all looking all cute. Oh, man, no, I was dying. I could not laugh. I couldn't stop laughing at that.
That's a dirty tactic.
Yeah, the Cheetah would use that too. So he Chenzin, he blinds Fujita. He basically is trying to even the playing field. Chenzin knows that for pure power, Fujita's going to win. I mean, he knows it. He can't outpower him, and so what he's going to have to do is he's got to even the playing field. He's got to use
he's got to use intelligence and speed.
Yes, you're right. That's a secret weapon. Is his speed. Jet Li is so fast, and he uses his and Jet Li has always been really sharp when it comes down to his fights. And like one of my favorite, even though I thought it was really brutally short, but it was a good example of this, is Kiss of the Dragon, where he's fighting those twins in the end, and they're fighting in their office. They know that territory. They know, and Jet Li knows that he has to take their advantage away, which is like the openness and the speed. Like the other guy is really, really fast too, and he's really fast with his feet. So he has to take his feet away from him. So he takes him to that narrow aisleway, and he puts all those desks in front where he takes away his feet. Now his feet don't really come into play, and he adapted, and then whereas the one twin, the smaller twin, used feet. Well, once he put all those desks in his way, he couldn't do that, and then Jet Li was able to overcome him. And I always like how Jet Li always features that in his fights, like always adaptation. It's all his characters in Hero. It was the same thing, where he's standing there, and him and Donnie Yen had that fight. They're each imagining the fight, how it's going to go, where it's going to go, how they're standing there without doing anything, but they're both imagining, and they see Bruce. You can see
they're visualizing it,
right, and you can see how Jet Li adapts to the Donnie Yen style. So that's it's a trademark, and I really like that. So here's Fujita. And now Fujita's starting to show that he's human, because Jet Li's starting to take it to him, and he fucks him up. He starts fucking him up. He comes up there, he hits a throat punch, and he's starting to get worked, and then Fujita, he's smart too. They fight their way out to the courtyard. What did you think of the court side? What did you think of the court fight? That part of that fight? Did you have any problem with that?
No, I like more fights kind of like that, other than close, confined areas like they were before. I like more open fights, because especially with this environment where there's more for them to work with, to interact with. You can do kind of all kinds of stuff.
I will say this too. There's one thing I didn't notice during the fight scene, and more power to them too. They choreographed that fight. They choreographed it really, really well.
And that shows how how good Wu Ping is.
Well, what really caught me by surprise. I mean, if you go back and watch the fight, you can see they're throwing blows for real, because Billy Chow is padded. The whole pad, you could definitely tell he's padded out. I thought that was entertaining, because it's like, okay, in the close scenes, because like if you see him standing there first, he's skinny, but then in the courtyard, when they're fighting in close, and Chenzin's popping him on the side, you can see the padding. It's so obvious, but it was and then there's one scene where I don't know if it was gimmicked before or after, but when he knocks Tenzin onto a little stool, it seemed to be right before he hits it. I mean, like right there, they blow it. They they break it just a little bit too soon. He doesn't land flush on it, and I mean, it's small little things, but it was still.
They probably could have gimmicked it for safety reasons.
Oh gosh, for sure. You're not going to have anybody fall on a real stool.
Those aren't exactly weak things.
and then
unless you're an 800-pound guy trying to sit on one.
Right. The fight continues outside, and then Fujita he knows now he makes his own adaptation. He knows what Chenzin's trying to do, and so he stops. He points it at his eye, which is bleeding. He's saying, go ahead and attack this. I'm giving you a fair shot. Go ahead, hit me in my blind eye. And so he does. He attacks, and he's waiting for him, and he starts getting the better of the fight right there. Hi, Betty. Betty said, I'm not wearing a hat, and you're wearing rabbit ears.
That was because there was a request for Bunny Echo.
Bunny Echo. Bunny and the Echo Man. Echo and the Bunny Man. Right?
Hey, these were gifts, so why not get a use out of them?
So they and then Fujita dislocates his shoulder, and Chenzin is immediately at a disadvantage. His shoulder's dislocated, and all of a sudden it's and now Fujita starts taking the upper hand, and he starts working him, and it looks really bad. It looks really bad for Chenzin, because how in the hell are you going to overcome that? And so they take it back inside the dojo. And he's still fighting. He's not showing Fujita what happened, but Fujita already knows. And so he keeps on backing him up. He sees that Chenzin's backing up because he's just one-handed. And after they both get knocked back inside, they buy a little bit of time, and then he manages to fix his shoulder. Now that's probably the only part of the whole entire fight that I was going like, yeah, I'm not really buying that part. You know how hard it is.
They always do that in movies whenever they have like a shoulder or something popped out of place. They just kind of go.
Yeah, like he's just like he's gonna put, you know what?
And afterwards they're like, there's no pain afterwards.
Yeah. I'm more like, I've seen dislocations before, and let me tell you, even after they're popped back in, and that's a hell of that hurts as much going back in as it did coming out. You're not going to be just standing up there dancing again. You're just not going to.
Yeah, usually in movies when it happens, it pops out of place. You're going to scream when it goes back into place, and then they're just like, look, I can do this. And my shoulder, it was popped out of place.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about a movie called Fist of Legend that came out in 1994 with Jet Li. So I know it's not the usual horror we normally talk about.
But it's good to take a break every now and then from doing horror.
Yeah, we had to take a break. Horror will be returning next week for sure, and I'll be getting there in a couple of minutes here. We're almost done with Fist of Legend. Then we're going to break it down a little bit more. So I thought that was the only part of the fight. In fact, I dare say the only part of the movie that, while it looked cool, I didn't really like it. I didn't like that.
I never liked that in any movie and I've never dislocated a joint. I've broken bones before, but I never dislocated anything. So even I know it's not something you can just go popped into place and I'm okay. My knees popped out of place. Now I'm going to go do the salsa.
Yeah, he pops it back into place, and he's throwing heavy rights again. It's just like, yeah, no one's doing that. No one's doing that. That'd be like, why if it was that easy, why aren't you having Ting over there? How come you're not having him put it back into place? Why aren't you having it? Why didn't he do that? Here's Jet Li, he's able to do it, and Ting's not able to. So he pops it back into place. Fujita doesn't see it, and so he's surprised by when Tenzin comes back and he's throwing heavy rights again. All of a sudden it's like, wait, I thought I dislocated that, and now here he is getting his ass whipped again. So the fight keeps going on, and finally Jet Li he vanquishes him. He beats him down, and
he knocks him down near the sword. So
Well, yeah, he knocks it. Yeah, he knocks him down during the swords, and then they get up and because that was, as far as they're concerned, that was the end of the fight. That was the terms of the fight was, if you defeat me, oh, I defeated you. You didn't tell me that I had to kill you or
That
you were
that,
going to kill
that
me.
general is definitely, besides being murderous, he's a dirty player. So
Yeah, of course. He's the typical heavy. We know he has no honor. So it's not really surprising to see. What did it surprises me? It surprises me though. It's like, okay, you would turn around and you wouldn't just like watch him, or address him like, okay, we won. You think that if you think he would have won, you think that he would at least, like bow toward him, like, and then at least sit there and say, "Are you okay? Do you want me, do you want me to call for assistance or something?" To show a little compassion because he is an army soldier. He has troops outside. You don't want the guy to sit there and say, "Well, shoot them on sight." You want to sit there and say, "Hey, we had an honorable fight. We fought hard. We fight evenly. Um, we kept the school. That's what you said. We beat you. At least not, and never turn your back on him." It's like he knocked him down. He says, "Okay." Then he goes over and picks up Ting, and Ting really he's the one that really gets messed up in this movie.
oh yeah.
They start walking out. They're both beat up, and then the general gets up and grabs the sword. Yeah, that was not very kosher. That was dirty play right there.
That's also a movie villain. You see them a lot of times after they get defeated, they have to get that one last evil deed in.
Well, it's like a horror movie where the killer pops in at the last possible minute. Just, oh, I thought we beat him. Oh no, here he comes. One more last. Rah,
we hung Jason. Oh wait a minute, he's not dead.
Hey Maverick, how are you, sir?
We drove an axe on his head. Oh wait, he's not dead.
Yeah, we dropped the TV on his head that was that was plugged into electricity, but he's not dead. I got electrocuted, but I'm still going to come back, and I'm going to come back in another movie.
Yeah, I also got my shoulder dislocated, but it's okay. I can pop back into place and wield this machete around like it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the one thing that probably, it probably would have been better off for the movie to end. Would have been more interesting to see him getting up and, going after those two, and then the ambassador comes on in with troops and sit there and say, no, you can't do this. You gave them your word. Don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass the us anymore. They want it fair and square. It could have ended that way. And I would have been okay with that. But of course they didn't. They let him grab the sword, and he basically just runs it right through Ting's arm. I can't even imagine how badly that hurt. And he did it on the upper arm here, near the arterial vein. I dare say that he would have been seriously injured, if not dying from where he got sliced into. And of course, Jet Li turns around and they resume their fight. And I gotta admit, this was the badass as hell. Chenzin takes off his belt. He takes off his belt, and he fights him against that sword. Now, Bruce Lee. Now, if that had been Bruce Lee, even though Bruce Lee would have been like fighting in his shirt, he would have pulled out a pair of nunchucks for that. I don't know. I always wondered where did he always carry his nunchucks?
They have like a magic dimensional pocket.
It must be. Yeah, because if you look at every time he fights, all of a sudden he comes out there, except for a Game of Death. But every other fight he'll be sitting there. It's like, okay, like how did he know he was going to get into a fight where he needed nunchucks, like at the restaurant?
Well, there's another place he's going to be keeping them, but I'm not going to say. I'll keep it PG.
I'm thinking, okay, when he fought in the Fist of Fury, he comes in, he takes off his shirt, he takes off his shirt, he takes off his shirt, he takes off his shoes, and he's fighting, and then they corner him, and he reaches back there and he grabs out a pair of nunchucks. It's like, you don't think that they would have not saw those in your back area? You don't think that they would have saw, once they saw them, they're going to grab their own weapons? Like, oh, this guy's carrying nunchucks. Let me go over and get me a spear or something else.
I'm not going to say nunchucks are big. They're not small either. I own a pair,
No.
so they're not exactly something you can hide.
Yeah. In one fight, he brings out 2 pairs. It's just like, where the hell did you have them at? What? I mean, I know, I'm thinking Hobbs is saying Echo.
I mean, mine folded up are probably like that.
Yeah. Where are you putting that?
I would bring them out, but I don't know what YouTube would say if I brought them out.
Well, I was going to say, if you were going to walk around with them on, I would suggest you put them in your ears, then you could just
there's no way if you go, like how wide his waist was, how would he hide those? I mean,
oh yeah, how could he move at all? I mean, you gotta, yeah. I just never. I mean, like I said, the only time he ever used nunchucks where it made sense, in Game of Death, where he walks up and he has them wrapped around his neck. He walks up with the little branch and he has a pair of the nunchucks around there. So that's the only time we ever see them publicly. Like every time else he's fighting, he gets outnumbered and he's like, okay, he reaches in there and he Enter the Dragon, same thing.
Now something makes sense. In video games, characters can always pull weapons out of thin air. Now we know where they got it from.
Bruce Lee, Sensei Bruce Lee. Thank you. So they're fighting, and but Chenzin does not have a nunchucks. He has a belt, and a belt.
That was a wicked scene.
A belt is very, very formidable. In the right hands of someone who has a belt. In fact, a belt is actually, if you have a heavy belt buckle on it, a belt is the equalizer in a knife fight.
I'm a kid of the 80s. I learned to fear the belt.
Yeah.
So I got respect for the belt.
And that's, I've seen that a couple of times in another life where someone had a knife and they basically just whipped off their belt.
Yeah, I've seen that in a movie where like they wrap it around the hand, just puts his hand in his.
Never wrapped around their hand. Never wrapped around it. Just
around the knife.
No, just enough to wing it. Just like yeah, because you want to keep you don't want a knife fighter against you. You want to keep space between you and the knife fighter. And that's what
I saw a movie where they did that and they wrapped it around the hand, and then he just pulls down on, causing the person to just taking the ears off. They keep falling off, but they just fell. They just pulled the person's hands down with the belt, basically like acting like handcuffs. So it's like that.
Yeah. That's some Hollywood shit. I mean, the belt is there to keep. I mean, look how Jet Li used his belt. He used it the same way. He wasn't bringing in close combat. He used the belt to keep him at distance. That's what he did. He kept him at distance because he's striking from distance. He doesn't want to get close to a sword. You don't want to get close to a blade. You want to stay away from it, and especially against someone who knows what they're doing, and like Vegeta. I wouldn't want to get anywhere near that guy with a sword in his hand. No way. I don't care how good your kung fu is. Even nunchucks. Bruce Lee fought the one guy in Fist of Fury. He had a samurai sword, and Bruce Lee used nunchucks. But
I've even seen them in movies do the bare hand thing. Have you seen that in movies? When they bring it down, they just go. Whoop.
Yeah, I mean,
that would cut your hands up.
Yeah, every time I always wondered about that. A lot of those martial arts movies, they would have a knife, and then someone else would be coming up there barehanded. It's just like, seriously, if someone comes up with a sword in their hand or a spear in their hand, and you're going to face up against them with just your bare hands, your chances of winning are very slim. I don't care how good you are.
Keep your distance. There's a strategy, but not like going. Oh, he's got a blade.
Yeah,
you cut your hands up.
Yeah, the first thing Bruce Lee Tenzin does is turn around and pull off the belt to create distance. And every time Fujita gets close, Jet Li's just fucking him up with the belt because it's so fast. He can hit him so many times. and and that belt buckle hurts a lot. So they and then but Vegeta's tired at this time too. That's the other thing too. It's not like he's fresh. He's beaten. This is his last desperation. So his strength is waning. Jet Li is now, or Chenzin, his adrenaline is really pumped up. The only thing I will give Vegeta credit for, and this is the only thing I'll give him credit for, is he didn't call for his men. He could have stood down right there and he could have called for his men. And he could have sat there and said, I was attacked by both of them attacked me.
Yeah, he could have done that. But
both of them attacked me at the same time. So I was handicapped 2 against 1. And I did the best I could, but now I need my men. So he wouldn't have lost face with that. He wouldn't have lost face. But he didn't do that. That's the only good thing I'll say about him, is that he was like going to go out on his feet. He's either going to win or he's going to die on his own.
He really wanted to take Shin out.
Yeah.
So yeah. He wanted that. I want to say he wanted the honor of being the one that said that, but he's got no honor.
No. I mean, but I still give him credit for that, though. I still got to sit there and say, well, he could have called for his men. He could have just said, fuck it, he wanted bragging rights. I'll just have him shot, but he didn't, and so he fights, and there's urgency with Jet Li too. I mean, he has to take him out fast because Ting's over there bleeding out, so. He does, and it was a cool way of doing it too. Using that belt to pin the sword against his throat, and he slit his throat.
Yeah, that was.
I thought that was pretty badass. And then of course, we got picking up Ting, and they start heading home.
But then they got the Japanese military show up, the Chinese police show up, and the ambassador shows up, and it's just like,
yeah. Yeah, the ambassador manages to basically say
he was warned by Uncle, what's the name's Uncle, about how he was. He was pointing out to him, this guy's a psychopath. Look at what he's doing at all his troops placement. He's a psychopath, and he's placing all his troops to take over China.
Yeah, unfortunately, history says that. We all know what happened to China and Japan. Yeah, not a good thing. Millions of Chinese were lost at the hands of the Japanese. And even to this day, China and Japan are not exactly friends. Japan they needed to acknowledge what they did, and they still have not really acknowledged the war crimes they did, which causes resentment today between China.
That in order for there's a lot they have to do for that wound to heal, but even then, it's still gonna stuff's still gonna be there.
I felt this movie was better than Fist of Fury. I just do. I love Bruce Lee. I mean, I do. I mean, Bruce Lee would have. It's staggering to think of where he could have went if he wouldn't died so early.
He's a very celebrated, martial artist and stuff. But no disrespect to him, I kind of like Jet Li a little bit more, because I kind of realized after watching this movie that I did get into watching some of his other stuff, like One, or was the one he did with Jason Statham?
Oh, War.
Yeah,
he did 2 with Jason. He's done 3 movies with Jason Statham.
It was the one where he had to fake his death in order to find out what was killed his family.
War.
But I did enjoy that movie. But Jet Li is actually awesome to watch. And I probably say no disrespect to Bruce Lee fans and to him. I probably have to say I'm a bit more now reminded I actually like Jet Li more than Bruce.
Yeah, I really like I really do like Jet Li and Donnie Yen both.
And here's the thing: if you look it up, Jackie Chan has a long-standing history with this franchise. He played a student in the original. Plus, he was the stand-in or whatever for the Suzuki guy.
Okay.
So, and then he was in the first sequel. the new Fist of Fury. He played the main character, so he's got a history with this.
That's what the Chinese do. That China in the Hong Kong cinema, they do that. They will have a character like Tenzin, and they will have all their big stars play him.
Yeah,
they
but
don't,
the new Fist of Fury does not have Shen in it.
Oh, they didn't use Tenzin. They bring it to modern times.
Well, they went Fist of Fury, new Fist of Fury, and then they didn't bring Shen back until they did Fist of Fury 2, which had Bruce come back.
Okay.
So then they Fist of Fury 3, but the last Fist of Fury is not an action movie. It's a documentary, better known as the real Bruce Lee.
Man, I wish that guy Jackson Liu. I wonder how many movies he did, but he should have did a lot more. He was pretty badass. He would have been interesting to watch. Yeah, there's a lot of this is just an amazing movie. I dare say right now, if I had to pick one movie that I really liked as far as martial arts go, as far as my favorite goes, I definitely have to sit there and say Fist of Legends. It's definitely top 5 for me, if not top 3.
Well, Jackson Lee, is most recent film looks like Wolf Hiding.
Oh, how when was that?
2022.
Oh, okay, so he's still around. Good.
Yeah.
This was Jet Li.
I found his IMDb.
Okay. Fist of Legend, it was definitely Jet Li's homage to Bruce Lee. There's several scenes that were shot for shot from the first movie. And he did I think he did a really nice job. I definitely felt the homage to him, the respect. I thought they did a really nice job.
Yeah.
And overall, I dare say, I'm glad we covered it.
I have to correct myself on something I think I said last night during the stream when I called Fearless a sequel to this. I mean, a prequel. It's actually perhaps a prequel to Fist of Fury, because he has him playing the Master and has him dying in 1910, which is when Fist of Fury takes place.
Right. Yeah, Fist of Fury was the turn of the century, whereas Fist of Legends is 1937.
And of course, this would be followed up with Fist of Fury, the return of Chen would have Donnie Yen playing the character. Yet somehow, in between the two movies, I guess he ended his relationship with what's her name. Guess it didn't work out.
Oh yeah.
And she's
it's amazing how these characters travel too. I mean,
she had told him that she'd be waiting for him in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's amazing how they move their characters around in history. Hey, Casey here. Get off the coyote howl. So what's going on with your channel this week? We are past our time.
I have to film 3 videos, and I have to pick a date for when I'm going to do a watch along to the first Mega Shark movie. I got to pick a date, and I was going to watch along to Firestarter, which is on the 13th, which is on a Friday. Unfortunately, I have to go to the local American Legion for a dinner.
Okay.
It helps them make money, and that's like 5, and I don't know when I'll be back. But I would really have wished I could have live streamed on Friday the 13th, because that just would have been cool as could be.
Is it the 13th is
I believe it is a Friday.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Yep. All right. I will tell you guys really quick what's going on with me. Not too long, because we are already past our time. We will be back next week on this channel for St. Maud. We'll be joined by the ISC Knights, Mary Wilson, Ben from Cadaver Club, along with Mike from American Werewolf in New Jersey. And we'll be joined for the first time, and I'm so excited for this. I really am. We'll be joined by the Horror Meister, Monty G. This will be the first time I've ever been sharing a panel with Monty. And we will be talking about St. Maud. which is a very interesting movie, to say the least. It's an A24 release, by the way, so that's for all you haters out there that like to give me stuff about that. I do. There are some A24 films that I do like. Uh, not very many. What? Uh, 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 so we will be talking about Saint Maud. I think it's going to be extraordinary. It's gonna be interesting. It's a deep movie and it has a lot of interesting themes and dynamics. So we will be talking about Saint Maud next week here on the Midnight Society. On the 15th, we'll get the return of the Bat. The Bat will return. Our favorite vampire, Al Lucard, will be back in time to join me here for Jason X. And then on the 22nd, we'll be traveling back to his channel for Freddy versus Jason, which is going to be the most popular movie. I have a feeling the most popular show we do on the series because everybody loves that movie. And on the 29th, ISC Midnights. I thought it'd be a fun twist, Casey. I thought it'd be a fun twist to bring the Knights in. Plus, I wanted to showcase the new Knights too. I want to give Mary Wilson another, to come up and of course Mike from American Werewolf in New Jersey. He's sensational, by the way. He really he loves movies and he goes really deep into them. He's a really good deep diver for that. So he will be here with us on the 15th, and then on the 29th we're doing a doubleheader. We will be doing on the 29th. We're going to be doing the Nightingale for the ISC Midnight Nights, and then we're going to be doing something different for Friday the 13th on the 29th. I want to wait until we get to the 15th to announce it. So once we do, I'll tell you about what we're going to do. It's
I think Hobbs really likes Echo Bunny.
Echo the Bunny, yeah. As far as my show this week, I just gotta I let you guys know what's going on because it's exciting, and so I'll do this real quick. So Tuesday we're going to be inviting our friend Greg from Fit for Expedition to come on to be interviewed on the 3rd. On Wednesday I'm doing 2 shows. I'll be here at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking with Ricky from the Old AFs. Reviewers, Ricky, and then on the 4th, the nighttime 8 o'clock, we'll be inviting our good friend Collector Man, aka Tristan, aka one of the Sanderson brothers. Tristan will be here and on his birthday, so you guys all need to show up for this show.
Oh, cool!
Wish a happy birthday. And then on Thursday the 5th,
which is a holiday, by the way.
Let's see, what's Casey trying to say? Backwards, I think, right?
Oh, Boglins.
Oh, is that what it is? Boglins?
Yeah, but remember, Thursday's a holiday.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. We have Rich Ragsdale coming in on May 5th, and he'll be talking about his movie The Long Night. And that's all I got. I want to thank you guys for all showing up. I appreciate it so much. I hope that we did not massacre this movie too badly.
The only hard part was trying to say the names.
Yeah, the names were just real hard. Yeah. Boglins.
Oh, yes. You did have a reminder for you're doing something with Tiffany, aren't you?
Yeah, Tiffany will be here on May 11th. May 11th. Tiffany will be here on May 11th. And I might have a special co-host that night. So thank you guys for showing up. I really do appreciate it. We will see you guys out and about on everybody's channels. And everybody go by Now It's Dark, by the way. Now It's Dark. And go over there and tell him to join us doing Dollar Tree Theater. All right, Echo, thank you so much for hanging out with me, my friend. This has been awesome. And we will see you guys on Tuesday. That's it for me. Peace.